This episode of the Buffalonian Podcast is brought to you by the CastSource Podcast Network, a podcast network built with and for entrepreneurs. Cover many genres, including sports, business, mental health, marketing, and entertainment. Feature the podcast shows such as Sports Bring People Together, Limitless, Saviors of the Metaverse, and The Athletic Mindset. Learn more at castsource.com/podcast. And without further ado, let's get into the Buffalonian Podcast. Buffalo Bills take a big win over the Patriots Thursday Night Football. And the Sabres have another decent week. Will they have another? We shall wait and see. Along with the usual Would You Rather, hot takes, trivia, and more, this is the Buffalonian Podcast. All right, let's go. We are back with the Buffalonian Podcast. I'm Joe Cali, and I am joined by Dom Loss for today. Dom, it's a fabulous Tuesday. The Bills won on Thursday Night Football. The Sabres won their most recent outing. Well, how are you feeling? I mean, it's a good week to be a Buffalo sports fan.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't say that for the last. I mean, last week was a good bounce back week, and now two good weeks in a row. Or is a pretty solid start to December.
Yeah. November was a rough one, that's for sure. But as usual with all Buffalo sports, but let's take a look at this Bills victory over the New England Patriots. Belichick let them kneel the clock out for the last 2 minutes, basically. So they basically rolled over and showed their belly. Belichick knew there was no saving it. The Bills were showing mercy, but I don't know. It was just they said it was over. Jim Nantz, or who was calling the game?
L. Michaels and Kurt Herbstreit.
Yeah,
Amazon.
L. Michaels. It was Amazon Prime, right? First one the Bills had. He said the Bills are saying this is over. Let's end this now. And he was absolutely right. We didn't need to punish them 47-17 like last time, but this was a very, very smart game overall, I would say. I mean, they ran the clock. Dorsey ran the ball. They got that. It was a little shaky at first. They were down 7-3. That was a little nerve-wracking. I was like, oh boy, here we go. But they actually ended up pulling out the win 24-10. And it was nice because we got the lead and ran the clock. We had like 9 minutes of possession on each drive from there on out. So, I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it was a workerman's mentality game offensively. Obviously, you're playing against Bill Belichick, one of the best defensive minds of all time. And they have a very good defense. And I think it was a step really in the right direction for the Bills to become, more than a one-dimensional offense. They were able to run the ball against a pretty good, run defense and of a banged up offensive line.
Yeah.
About your best offensive lineman, your left tackle, the line side for Josh, and Quisenberry, did his best, but he was banged up, and I mean he's a big reason why that strip sack by Uche happened.
Yeah.
He didn't even lay a finger at him, I don't think.
You just blew past, yeah.
I think it's an interesting game from the perspective of the offense because you see that they but they scored 24 points. And honestly, I think it's easily they've been, I don't know if they're best, but probably one of their better outings of the entire season just based off opponent. The last 2 weeks they played, the Browns and the Lions who aren't very good defensively. So, yeah, they scored more points against those teams than what they were supposed to. I think 24 points against the Patriots. Especially how they scored 24 points because really, I mean, the game was over after one play in the fourth quarter. Yeah. I think that's sometimes really hard to kind of realize is that game was over one play in the fourth quarter, and then the Bills got the ball back offensively for one more drive where they kind of just try to run the clock out.
Mm-hmm.
And the Patriots weren't really threatening them, and they didn't really need, the urgency to push. So really they had 24 points and 300 and something yards first play in the fourth quarter, and if they needed to, they could have probably done more. So I'm again I think it's just a really impressive performance all the way around. I mean, and then we haven't even talked about defensively. Just
no,
other than I would say in the beginning of the game, Leslie Frazier being a little bit blitz happy.
Yeah.
And Mac Jones burned him on the one play to Marcus Jones. Other than that play, I mean, they were phenomenal. And then that one drive where Stevenson had like 3 straight runs of 10 yards or what, he started like in some ground game. Other than that, like the defense played really solid for most of the night.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to see the defense back healthy. I mean, Tremaine being back was a huge difference. And Epinesa and Rousseau. Epinesa got back there. He blew by. I was not expecting
I'm
it.
surprised that wasn't a 15-yard penalty because the way he like
He dove
catapulted him to
into
the
him.
ground.
Yeah, it was like a pile driver almost. But I mean, hey, you gotta love it. I think Von Miller rubbed off on him a little bit. I mean, we were questioning him for a while, so I think he's rubbed off on that entire edge rushing core, and it's really cool to see. I mean, I don't know. It was just a good game. Belichick had no answer.
Well, I think the D line needed to step up this game. Obviously, you're down your best player on that line,
Yeah,
and you're against a team that has a solid offensive line other than the right tackle spots like Gimpy. And they have a good ground game. So, I mean, it was really going to be a testament of wills for this Bills D-line, and they did a phenomenal job against the run for most of the night. Again, Stevenson had a couple of runs, but those were like arm tackles. Like it wasn't really. I would fully say the D-line. It didn't feel like he ever like got through untouched where he had the full set of steam. In my opinion, and then I mean they got constant pressure on Mac Jones after they adjusted without having to blitz with 4. I mean, Buggy Bash
yeah.
was flashed. Greg Rousseau was a beast throughout the night. I'm upset for my boy Greg that he didn't get a sack.
It was
Epinesa,
close.
I got that down, and then multiple times where Jones was running around for like 20 seconds. I mean, it was nice for him to burn the 2-minute warning. I don't know what he was doing there, but
Yeah,
again, I think it was a really good performance overall by this defense, but it starts up front with the D-line setting the tone.
yeah, absolutely. Now, if you had to take one person, I know we said the defense as a whole here, who really stepped up and did the Patriots in on this Thursday night primetime outing?
Yeah, I think the running backs did. I think the running backs had a fantastic night. I mean, James Cook had a combined 110 total yards, was
Mm-hmm.
easily his best pass catching game, 6 for 41. Became more quarterback friendly for Josh in those checkdowns and did a good job getting yards. And I thought he was really good, very explosive in the run game. The only thing that he needs to avoid doing is avoid the turf monster because he kept slipping. I don't know
Yeah,
how to fix that per se, but I just thought he was really good. I thought Devin was very good the whole night. I know Devin's stats are going to look like he ran, I believe, like 13 times for 3.9 a carry. That's going to be a little bit, I think, skewed just because he didn't really have a big run, but they
right.
consistently, with those backs, they were consistently getting 3 and 4 yards. And we've talked about how that's big because then all of a sudden you could do maybe those back-to-back runs, and you get to 3rd and short. Or you do
Mm-hmm.
a run and you do a pass, but it's incomplete, but now you're 3rd and 6. Like you're not 3rd and long. You're getting those 3rd and medium, 3rd and shorts, and the Bills were able to bleed the clock down. I mean, it was nearly 2-1 time possession. So they
Yeah,
kept that defense fresh.
yeah, no, I would 100% agree with you. I think Ken Dorsey stepped up overall. I'm going to say just the clock management. That guy was on fire. 9 minutes total possession on offense. He was burning out New England's defense. Like you said, those little three yards per carry for Singletary, just eating up clock, letting that clock run. I mean, they played it really smart. Josh let it go when he had to. He threw when he had to, but they didn't force it every time. He wasn't playing hero ball. Dorsey was calling some really good plays. I think he was a big factor in this Bills win. He played competently. It was
Yeah.
a very smart outing.
I think it might have been Dorsey's best performance. I really liked how he used
Mm-hmm.
Hines of motion. He
Yeah,
got McKenzie involved. Davis caught a touchdown. Still, I mean, I need to see some more from Dawson
I was just
Knox.
gonna
Got to
say
see him
that.
get
Yeah,
involved more. Gabe Davis had a little bit of a quiet game, but end of the day, that's okay because other people stepped up and he wasn't really the main focus. But I would like to see more Dawson Knox, but it's kind of a little bit hard when you're really asking him to be the 6th offensive lineman, seeing the injuries up front, constantly having a bad right tackle on Spencer Brown, a bad banged up left tackle on David Quessenberry. He had to really chip the edges and be more of a 6th offensive lineman than be a tight end.
right.
But I think, listen, overall, I think Dorsey played well. I thought Allen played really well for the
Mm-hmm.
most part. I mean, he had a couple throws where it was like the one throw
Almost.
on the play action
Yeah,
should have been picked. He had one throw where he just tried to arm punt, and then he had one throw at the end of the half where they were just trying to like 10 seconds trying to get something. So I mean, he had like 3 throws that I was like, that's not great, but
mm-hmm.
the rest of his throws are really solid, and then the rest of his incompletions really were drops. I mean, Devin, I know I praised him a little bit. He had a couple drops. Knox had a drop.
Yeah,
I thought Diggs had a couple opportunities to even have a bigger stack game than he did. and obviously they had the 50-yard touchdown that I think would have changed a lot of things, wiped out the board because your boy Tommy Sweeney had a holding penalty. But I think that
Yeah.
was tough. Tommy, I mean, it's tough because I mean he was against Matt Judon, but I mean you would like for him not to hold because
Yeah, because that would have been a
that was like
touchdown.
the LA Rams touchdown week 1. That was a sick play. But
Yeah.
doesn't count. Doesn't count.
No, unfortunately not. It would have stacked his stat line a little bit for fantasy managers who have him on their team, but
No,
I don't
maybe that
know.
could be.
I know me. I don't know. It's been a rough season overall. We'll talk about that another time. Who at the end of this game really just did not play well for you? Who really, screwed the pooch in your opinion?
I think it's hard. I think it's hard because I think a lot of people gave really good efforts.
Mm-hmm.
I would say DeMar Hamlin. I don't think he should have got ejected for that hit. I think that
No,
was. I'm not saying it was. I mean,
it
listen,
wasn't clean, but it wasn't like
it
ejectable. It wasn't like he was targeting him.
no, I don't. I don't. I mean, should it have been a 15-yard penalty? Probably, but like in this day and age, yes. He made a really bad play on that touchdown. He took a bad angle. He missed a tackle in the hole on one run, so he kind of had a mediocre game. But I don't know, man. Like I think the whole team played pretty well. I would say again, the Sweeney, like the one play, the holding was bad,
Yeah.
and I would say Questenberry was pretty bad. But I don't want to like completely trash on him because he was obviously really banged up.
Mm-hmm.
But he was I mean, Josh Uche just ate his lunch, so he was probably the guy that played the worst out of the people that were key contributors in the game.
I hate to say it. I'm going to go Questenberry as well. It's just, based off of just watching the game and seeing what was going on. I mean, like you said, he's banged up too. I mean, it's kind of tough.
I'd also give a little bit of a, I don't know if a quick shout out, but like Nyheim Hines, another negative 2-yard run. I think he has like negative 6 yards on the year. He needs to get that up. But also, this is the first game I think the Bills special teams. I know the punter for the Patriots didn't play well, and the Folk missed a kick, but the Bills like return game, I thought they did a good job limiting Marcus Jones, but their return game was a little lackluster in the punt returns for Hines. He only got like 3 or 4 yards every time he. It wasn't a smooth game in that perspective.
No
penalties though.
Well, yeah, no penalties, but he's had bigger returns we've seen. So I mean, it's just kind of a little lull in his.
But I look at it from the perspective of the Bills and Patriots are very like special teams minded. So it doesn't really surprise me that the Patriots special teams is good. Yeah.
Yeah. When you have an offensive coordinator being an old defense and special teams coordinator, it's kind of, that's Mac Jones wasn't too happy about that. We saw that, but Kaiir Elam was benched.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think on that? I don't know.
I mean, I could hope that maybe it was just his ankle was a little 100%, but I don't understand it. Leslie Frazier came out and said, yeah, Dane Jackson was sick a little bit, and didn't really practice, and they wanted to see what Xavier Rhodes had to do. But I don't know. I mean, was Rhodes bad? No, I think Rhodes was pretty solid.
Yeah.
Dane Jackson's still kind of just a guy for me, but I would think, I'd like to see our first round pick out there because I think I think in his time out there, I don't think he's played bad. I think he's played, pretty solid. So I think that's, there must be something behind the scenes because I think his play on the field shows that he is at least able to at least be active and be a part of a rotation. Even I don't know. I think they need to figure out who that number 2 is and kind of lock it down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with Benford on IR, it's really down to 3 people, and I don't know. I feel like Elam deserves to have a better opportunity than he just did.
They're kind of playing musical chairs a little bit. I was not expecting him to bench Elam. I thought he would have been the number 2 out there with Trey White, just for
he looked good.
Yeah, Trey White. Yeah, it was much nicer to see him play more than 15 snaps in this game. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I would have liked to see Elam out there with him. I understand it in the fact that Xavier Rhodes has a little bit more experience, and you're playing a Bill Belichick offense and who ran the ball a crap ton on us last year, and you don't know what you're going to get. So, but like you said, first round pick, I think he should be out there. We should be testing him out a little bit at least, but I don't know. It's interesting to see the decisions made. I mean, we talk about the Sabres all the time. It's like musical chairs down there, but I don't know. I mean, I think we got to just figure out that second string corner and then start rotating them in and out, maybe, just kind of going from there to get the rest of the depth figured out. But the defensive line, we touched on this a little bit. Epinesa, Rousseau, Oliver, they they filled the void of Von Miller to the best of their ability, I would say.
Yeah, I think Daquan Jones also had a sack
Daquan
too.
Jones, yeah. I mean, the defense really did step up. I still, to me, seeing Epinesa get a sack just kind of blew my mind, and the way he got back there too, like you said, it was just, it was
I
aggressive.
think he's
Loved
played
it.
pretty well this year
Hmm.
on a rotational basis. It's just that he needs to be better at finishing plays.
Yeah,
He has a 63% missed tackle rate, which is pretty horrific. And there's a
yeah,
big reason why sometimes he doesn't see the field. But if he can he puts himself in decent positions most of the time. So if he can be able to finish those plays like he did against Mac in a big spot, and especially with Von being out, if he could take the next step, Boogie can take the next step, Groot can be a stud. I think that's huge
yeah.
for the next 3 games at least with Von being on IR.
Yeah, I hated to see that because he was saying on his Voncast,
They're protecting him from himself. I knew he wasn't coming back for the Jets. I was
no,
like,
when
no
he
way,
said he
dude.
was going to be ready to play for the Jets, I was like, I don't know, man. That could be. They were even talking about surgery and stuff at
The
that point.
only person that the Bills did not play conservative with their injury was Josh
Allen,
Allen, and
because the
he's the quarterback.
right, but I think honestly, you have him out there for his leadership too. And not saying Von Miller doesn't promote defensive leadership, which clearly he does. I mean, look at the way they played without him. But I mean, I don't know. That's your guy out there in Allen. That's the bread that hold or the butter that holds the team together, whatever you call it. I don't know. So it's just, I don't know. I feel like Von Miller also, you got him to go to the Super Bowl, right? Like he was that cherry on top on the defense on this
Yeah, and
already.
you're not winning the Super Bowl in December.
No,
You're not winning the
exactly.
Super Bowl in the first week of December. So
Yeah, especially against Matt Patricia and the Patriots. I mean, like that's not happening. But I think I kind of like it being just saying we're gonna rest him up and get him ready for the postseason because that's where we're gonna need him playing against. Seeing how the rest of the AFC is shaping up. I mean, we're at the top now, back on top, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But
yeah, and we're gonna talk about it in a second. But I think it's interesting too that the next 3 games he misses. Obviously the Dolphins and Jets game are killer, but the Bears game's kind of a whatever. But he could potentially be back for the Bengals game, which I mean that could be
big one.
a pretty significant game for the Bills. So
Yeah.
hopefully, I mean it's only 3 more games. But talking about another person on the line, I think we have moments in the season where a player leaves the lineup and you realize the void of the player and you need to give them more respect. I think a little bit that happened to Mitch Morris early in the year. People were trashing him, and then all of a sudden they saw Greg Van Roden's terrible snapping against the Dolphins, and were like,
Yeah.
Mitch Morris, not too bad. I
Yeah.
think the same could be said for Deion Dawkins. Not like anyone was trashing Deion Dawkins, but
No,
I
but
think people you never hear anything about Deion Dawkins, and it's a good thing when your left tackle does not get talked about a lot.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is a void that needed to be filled, and we saw that. Questenberry just people were running right through the line. It was bad, and that strip sack, like you said, would not have happened if D-Dox was on that line. And I don't know. I mean, and also we're going to touch on he's the Man of the Year nominee from the Bills, which I think is pretty a great
Cool.
nominee. He's awesome. He was at the Bandits game and then the Sabres game the next day, like this past
Yeah, on
week.
the Sabres social media.
The Sabres social media. He's out there for the community, and a lot of times these linemen, offensive linemen, they don't get a ton of hype. But D-Dox, he's got that Benny the Butcher hype. He's in the Bills music video, We the Mafia. I mean, he's pretty awesome. He's great for the team in the city of Buffalo. So that's a cool nomination for sure. And I hope he progresses through the voting and everything. But no,
We'll see what happens there.
he was very missed, to say the least.
Very well deserved honor.
Mm-hmm.
And he was missed on Thursday night. I mean, it's night. I mean,
Will he be back this week?
We'll see. I mean, ankle injury. Morris kind of had a similar kind of thing, and he was back in 10 days. So
yeah,
he technically has 2 weeks because he didn't play on Thursday. So and I mean that's where I think the mini bye. I mean, they didn't get it last week because they played Thanksgiving to Thursday night. Now they get the mini bye, and I think that's going to be important for Dion, all those Amenesa and Groot who are coming back from injury.
I think Josh too.
Jordan Phillips banged up his shoulder a little bit, so that would be big for him.
Mm-hmm.
Josh too. We could see at time. We've been able to see at times in the last couple of weeks that he just hasn't looked 100% like his throwing motion's a little bit off. So hopefully in these next 10 days he could kind of get the rest and get the treatment he needs to be himself down the stretch.
Be him.
Be him.
Yeah, for Josh Allen to be him. I mean, it has been clear. You're right. You have been able to see the elbow injury hindering him a little bit. He said sidearm throws hurt him, which he likes to do sometimes to get those plays, the crazy ones that he does sometimes. But I think even in this last game against the Patriots, we saw the healing process.
I'm sorry. I gotta stop you for 2 seconds. Did you just see the breaking news?
No.
Aaron Judge to the Giants.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
No. Are you serious?
Yes.
This is breaking?
Yes, 2 months ago.
Okay, I'm going on Twitter. Hang on one second. We got to put it.
I apologize for our listeners.
I got to take a look at my Twitter.
We got to see Joe's instant reaction to his buddy leaving New York.
Hang on, I got to look up New York Giants.
So while Joe gets upset with that, it's great that the Bills are going to be having these 10 days and be well rested for their 2 divisional games coming up, and then obviously the Bears aren't a team to be just looking over because they're a solid team, especially with Fields being healthy and playing at a really good level right now. And then obviously the Bengals game is going to be a big game, and then the Patriots game, we'll see how much that matters if they're going to be resting starters in Week 18 or not. But so to advance the talk, as Joe continues to somber, it is cool to see that Romo and Nance are coming back to Buffalo this week for the Jets. Obviously, if you guys do not know, the Jets and Bills game did get protected by CBS. NBC did want that to be flexed to Sunday Night Football, and the CBS said no, you could have Chargers, Dolphins. So that's going to be the Sunday night game. So it just makes sense that the number one crew of CBS is coming to the Jets Bills game because they literally protected the game. It wouldn't. I mean, if you were going to protect the game, if the game was like protect worthy, like the number one crew has to be there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's funny because even with Judge, going back to Judge for a second, signing with the Giants, they play their opener in Yankee Stadium, so that's gonna be nuts. Sorry, little baseball talk in there. We haven't talked there since the rundown's been alive, but yeah, we thought you were saying the Finns Bills flex, or no, not yet. You're talking.
Finns Chargers got flexed on the end. And it's cool to see Romo and Nance. I know they talked about during the Steelers game how they want to get back to Western New York sooner than I think the last time they were there before that was 2017. So it only took a couple months and they're back.
Yeah, I mean, I love when they call the Bills games. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Every time they're calling, they're 2-0 this year. The Bills.
Yeah, I love also that kick we talked about too. Jim Nance just absolutely jinxing the Lions kicker. I'm
sorry, I'm wrong. They're 3-0 with
3-0
Rome on the call because I forgot about the Thanksgiving game, Chiefs game, and the Steelers game.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, 3-0. Yeah, but I love Tony Romo's color commentating. I'm going to be honest with you. It's probably
he talks a little bit too much for my liking, but I guess every color commentator likes the sound of their own voice.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, if I were a color commentator, I'd be talking the entire time. You kidding me? But I don't know.
I wonder why you do a podcast then.
Yeah, right. I like to talk. I don't particularly like to listen to myself though. I don't go back and listen to the whole thing. But no, I love Tony Romo's commentary more than Chris Collinsworth because I don't hear about the Kansas City Chiefs at all, and Patrick Mahomes. But I'm glad they're coming back to Buffalo. It took them a while, but they're welcome back. Welcome back. And the Finns Bills game, which was TBD for the longest time, is now Saturday Night Football. Dom's going to be working as a mobile ticket assistant, right? Or what is your official title?
Mobile ticket team.
Mobile ticket team. You can find him with an iPad wrapped around his neck by the gates. I've seen him. It's what a game. It's a sight. I'm excited. I love the fact this game could very well be for the division. Looking at how things go. Do I want it to be? No. Do I want to run the table from here on out? Absolutely, with the Bills. But I mean, it's going to be a big game, and they probably put it prime time because,
well, it's the best option for Saturday night games. So
there's no Saturday in the day. Yeah, so I don't know. It's just
they flexed the Sunday night game to Giants at Commanders, which is a trash game. I don't know why they thought that game should be.
It'll be another tie.
They must not have wanted to have flexed. They must not wanted to flex the Dolphins Sunday Night Football 2 weeks in a row. But again, this is another it'll be an interesting game. We'll see. It's cool to have another kind of like night game at the stadium, and
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see after this week what are the parameters of the game. Are the Dolphins? Are we tied with the Dolphins? I mean, if we lose and win, are we up 2 games or are we just up a game? And this is kind of a big game for the Dolphins, so it will
Yeah.
be interesting. But looking at what happened, this past week, I mean, what a week to be a Bills fan.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
Come on. Yeah.
all these
Scream the shout
weeks,
song from the rooftops.
all these weeks of the Bills winning, but everyone in the division wins, or like Kansas City keeps winning. What a week to be a Bills fan. Kansas City loses, check one.
Yep.
Dolphins lose, have the division. With the Kansas City loss, have the 1
The
seed.
conference. Yeah.
And to top off the cake, the Jets lost. So
Yes.
your division went 1-3 this week, and the only team that won was the Bills because they beat the other team in the division. So and the Chiefs losing, the Titans losing again, so they're kind of out of it. The Ravens looking like trash. Unfortunately, they lost Lamar. I don't want to be insensitive to that, but they weren't good with Lamar. They scored a touchdown in the last minute to win the game. So against the Broncos, who can't score. So that wasn't a very good performance. And we're starting to see a real 3-headed monster coming in the AFC with the Bills, Chiefs, and Bengals. I mean, this is a big win for the Bengals. Yeah. It's a big win for the Bengals because now the Chiefs lose again, and the Bengals and Bills meet. I mean, that could really decide the AFC 1 seed, and the Bengals do have a shot now of all of a sudden. Obviously they're not even winning their division at the proper moment because they lost to Baltimore earlier in the season, so they're losing that tiebreaker. But
right,
what a week to be a Bills fan.
Yeah, no,
everything went our way. Hopefully that continues a little bit. Like, and not everything every week has to go our way, but like as long as it's not the opposite direction of everything not going our way.
Yeah, as long as, I mean, it would be very nice to win against the Bengals and then have that extra leg up on the Chiefs as well, and the Bengals in the conference. Have the Chiefs at home, or whoever we're playing at home in the playoffs, would be fantastic. So we're not going back to Arrowhead at any point.
Well,
that'd be really cool.
I think the big thing that I've been preaching about the 1 seed is, yes, what you just said is awesome about having your home games in Buffalo, but it's also the fact of the real potential now of the Bengals kind of becoming who they are and the Ravens faltering is the Bengals are probably going to win that division, and they had the tiebreaker against the Titans, so they're probably at least going to be the 3 seed, you would think. And if the Bills are the 1 seed, the Chiefs, Bengals, whoever the 2 and 3, I mean, they had to play each other.
Yeah, it's like the Bills Chiefs played each other last year.
The Bills wouldn't have to play both Cincinnati and Kansas City; they would probably only have to play one. While those other 2 teams would have to go through both of them. So I think that's real. I think really that's the key advantage of having the 1 seed is you get to kind of dictate who you play.
Yeah, no, because you're absolutely right. Because then it's like the Bengals. The Bills and Chiefs duke each other out last year, right? The Bills lose.
You get to play the most overrated 1 seed of all time. The Titans win, and then you get to play Chiefs coming off an overtime game.
Right, and then Patrick Mahomes closes his eyes and throws into double coverage in overtime for them, but not for us. So that was, that was tough. But you're right. I mean, it's going to be. Remember those old commercials they used to have? The playoff pictures coming together. You remember that?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, like when Tyrod Taylor was on the Bills, they did that for like 1 season. Cam Newton was in his prime at that time. It was a while back. We're talking here.
That must be a short span.
Yeah, it was only a year. They only did it for a year. So I don't know. It's interesting to see how things are playing out, especially, Tom Brady's about to go to the playoffs with a 6-6 record.
Currently, yeah.
And he's winning the division with a 6-6 record.
Hey, man.
Like, NFC, man. USFL. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say on that.
The South divisions are bad. The East divisions are really good this year.
Yeah. Well,
everybody in the East, all 8 teams in the East divisions are 500 or better.
Yeah, and that's crazy. That's nuts. Well, the AFC East we knew was stacked. I don't
know if we thought the AFC East was going to be stacked. I don't think we thought any of these divisions were going to be stacked.
Well, honestly, I thought Tua was still Tua turning the ball over. He's still kind of.
I think everyone with reasonable expectations thought the Bills were going to be good. The Dolphins were going to be probably that wild card team. The Patriots might be that 8-9, 9-8 team, so they would be kind of like where they are now. I don't think anyone expected the Jets to be 7-5. I mean, I think people thought they would be like 4-8 and be bad. No, the Jets have exceeded expectations. And look at the NFC East. I think people thought, Dallas could still be good. Yeah. Everyone thought a lot about the Eagles. So those 2 teams have kind of, even they've kind of exceeded expectations to a degree.
Eagles certainly have.
I don't think anyone thought the Commanders and Giants are all going to be 2 games above 500. So.
all the Giants do is Brian Dable all this time and all your mom jokes in the locker room,
Oh
you know?
God.
So I, I don't know. Seeing that game tie was crazy to me, but yeah. Isn't the only team out of the playoffs in their division the Commanders at this point? All the other ones are in there?
I believe so, yes.
Hmm. Yeah, it's crazy, man. I would not have predicted any of this happening in a million years. The
Welcome
Giants.
to the National Football League, my friend.
Yeah, holy cow. But I think that's going to do it for our Bills talk for this episode of the Buffalonian podcast. But before we move into our Sabres talk, I want to bring up the Sports Bring People Together podcast. You should listen for entrepreneurial conversations with those in sports, and who knows where the chats will take you, but sports got us all here together in the first place. You can find the show wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, our podcast, or simply visit sportsyplus.com. So now we're going to move into our Sabres topic. Sabres actually had a decent week. It was surprising. I was at the game against the Sharks. Good game. The most
Go
recent
Heads.
outing. Goat Heads. Gotta love it. I love to see them in person. It was awesome. They had a good week, Dom. I mean, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think it's a solid week when you go, 2-1 in
Yeah.
3 games, and your only loss against the defending Stanley Cup champions. It's a good week. I mean, obviously you beat your divisional team and the division rival in Detroit. Would have liked to have won that game in regulation, another 3-goal blown lead, which just can't happen. But they were able to get the job done because Jack Quinn has sick mitts, and that was a nice shootout goal. And they battled for 16 minutes against Colorado, but you would have liked for them to win that game because Colorado was pretty banged up, so it's not like they were a complete juggernaut going into that game, and especially
Yeah.
on home ice. But against the bad Sharks team who's playing 3 games in 4 nights, and you are well rested for having a couple days off, I mean, you got to win. You got to get those points. I mean, there's just no you got to get those 2 points. So
Yeah.
they get that result is big for a young team.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I don't know. They're fun to watch. Even if they don't win, they're fun to watch. Like that's the end of the day for me. Just sitting there watching that game against the Sharks. The young gunners, they're looking good. I mean, Tage Thompson is always looking good. Skinner's looking good. I mean, it's really, really cool to watch. I mean, the goat heads, like you said.
I think it's
cool.
bizarre to think that this is like their best offense in a decade. Like this is actually like a good. You could now say this is a good offensive team. I mean, we're
Yeah.
20 plus games in the year. Like this is a legitimate enough sample of
Hmm.
this is a very good offensive team right now on 5-on-5. And they're improving on the
Right.
power play. Defensively, I think they leave a little bit to be desired, but I think that's also because they play such an upbeat, big pace game, speed game that they're going to give up opportunities on the other end. So I think that may be a little bit more of how they're going to be. And then I think it's been a little bit frustrating with the lack of quality goaltending.
Hmm.
It's just another thing that's going to bite this team. Is that
Yeah.
Kevin Adams has done a phenomenal job on a lot of aspects and deserves a lot of credit, but for the second straight off season, just kind of not really do anything to fix your goaltending situation it's not a good look.
Yeah, I know. I know we've talked about that for a while now, waiting for Levi. Because I remember just sitting there at the game against who do we see? What game did we see together with all 4 of us? The boys at the
Vegas.
box, Vegas. Yeah, Jack. How could I forget that Jack Eichel game? Just thinking like, why wouldn't we move for a goaltender? And you said that. I jogged my memory on Levi coming up. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, I completely forgot about him, but he's the biggest good thing that's going to help this team 100%. Lukanen, okay,
He's not it.
he's not it.
I'm
He's
sorry.
go back to Rochester.
I was a fan of his in the preseason. I thought he deserved an opportunity. He's not getting the opportunity, and now he's just not good.
He's
And
pooping the bed.
but the fact is, there's really nothing that the Sabres can do to improve in the short term. Like right now, what are you going to put up Malcolm Subban? He's not that good either. So
No.
you're just going to have to roll with a 41-year-old goaltender, and a goalie prospect that just never really fully developed, and especially with Comrie being out for probably a couple more weeks, maybe a month. I mean, that's pretty brutal. But I think this team is just so exciting to watch. I mean, years before this, we've been witnessed just terrible hockey,
Yeah.
and then we had the Ralph Kruger era where it was bad hockey, but it was low event hockey.
Right.
Like
And then
they
they
played
went on a 10-game win streak
well.
too.
They played such a way of hockey where it was like they weren't going to give you any chances, but I mean they didn't have anyone that could produce any chances other than Jack Eichel and Sam Reinhart. And
Mhm.
now it's like, screw it, we're going to give up some chances, but we will be sure to outchance you. We're going to try to outchance you. And I think
Yeah.
that's exciting hockey. And I mean, if you're better, I think you just got to keep, especially with the Sabres goaltending,
Take
just
the
keep,
over.
yeah, keep smashing the overs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much fun to watch because it's these kids are so good right now, and it's
We
like
could say kids because they're our age. So
it's like it's like, but it's like, how good are these guys going to be in a couple years too? It's
right.
like this isn't just this isn't the floor. I mean, the
Yeah.
ceiling. This is the floor, and I think that's really exciting. And a lot of credit has to go to Kevin Adams and the entire development of these players. And we talked about it a lot that Owen Power, when he was drafted first overall, was not a consensus pick.
Mhm.
People thought we should have picked another guy. People thought maybe his Bristol line with just about physical tools, but will he ever develop? He's developed already into a
Mhm.
very good offensive defenseman, one of the best play driving offensive defensemen in the league. Now, do I
Mhm.
think he needs to improve a little bit defensively? Sure, but he's 19 years old, playing in his first full season in the NHL. Like,
Yeah, he had an
what did
8-game
you
sample
expect?
size before this season. So,
I mean, look at Matthias Samuelsson. He's developed into now, people were joking about that, roasting them for giving that contract extension, but they developed into a top 40 defenseman that is really important to this team, especially when you don't have a lot of really quality defensemen. And then, I mean, look at Peterka and Quinn, the first draft for Adams. A lot of people were questioning why Adams traded up in the second round for JJ Peterka. You don't really want to trade up in that draft. He traded up and got his guy, and look where JJ Peterka is. He's a top 6 forward right
right.
now. Look
Yeah.
at Jack Quinn. He was a kind of a guy that was there was a lot of other really highly talented forwards selected right after him, and people thought, well, that was a mistake because, you know, is he really all that? And he had a really tough beginning. He had a tough first season, bounced back in the AHL to have a really good second season, and now in his third year, got off to a slow start at the NHL level, sat a little bit, and now all of a sudden he's setting the world on fire. He loves
Yeah.
the goat heads. 4 of his 6 goals have been in those uniforms. I think he's trying to, as we speak, talk to Kevin Adams about petitioning to make them their full-time uniforms. But
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I'm going to be honest with you. I
they're
love
sick.
it.
They're sick, but that's another example of a guy developing. I mean, then Dahlin, I know he was an Adams pick, but as Dahlin a year ago was broken. He was broken. Just a year ago, he was broken. And we didn't think he was going to be fixed. We thought, well, we're probably going to have to trade him for something because he can't be fixed. And now he's one of the top 5 probably leaders in the Norris race right now for the best defenseman in the entire NHL.
Yeah. No, the
And
dude's
Paige
isn't he on
Thompson,
pace for some like 60 points or something like that?
100 points,
100 points.
something like
Whoa.
that.
Oh,
Paige Thompson, look at his development. I mean, look at Jeff Skinner's bounce back. Look at Tyson Yost in 2 weeks comes
I
from
know.
being out of the league to now being a solid NHLer.
Mhm.
Look at Dylan Cousins now being nearly a point per game player. I told you we should have signed him to that contract extension in the summer, but
I
I
mean,
mean, again, the development of these players is so fun because they're so young. It's not like they signed these guys. Like these fans saw these players get drafted, and
mhm.
then they've been with them throughout their entire development curve. The ups and the downs, and now that you see it all paying off, it's so much gratitude, and you're so grateful for these guys to be on your team.
Mhm.
And then you have to then occasionally watch the line of Olofsson and Middlestad just completely tank your
Oh my
all hope
god.
in the franchise. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. But again,
Yeah, yeah.
I think it is just so much fun to watch this team because this team is so young, and this is just the beginning of something really special. We saw this in 05, 06 when you saw Derek Roy, Jason Pominville, Thomas Vanek, like
Mhm.
those guys who were in the AHL for the lockout come out of the lockout now being NHLs. Ryan, I mean, there's a certain Michigan State goaltender named Ryan Miller that became the goaltender. Maybe we'll have another college goaltender
Yeah.
from this time Northeastern eventually be the guy. But again, it's very similar to those guys of first years just taking the league by storm, and they were able to go together and they won a lot of games, and it's just exciting to see that this is the floor and the ceiling is so high for this squad. It's also nice to see Matthias Samuelsson score his first Grand NHL goal. Now, was his goal trash? Absolutely, that was a terrible goal. Like the goalie. I mean, Joe, I think maybe you should have saved. You could have saved that one. It
I
was
honestly, I'm
not. It
gonna be
was not
honest with
good.
you. I could just lay down in front of the net and maybe cover more surface area. I don't know. To me, that I don't know. I can't. It was garbage time. I definitely could have done that. Strap some pads on me, put me out
Yep.
there. Granado could definitely develop me into a goaltender better than Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Come on.
I'm just gonna pretend you didn't say that, but again, it's, you saw it, it's very funny to me to then see him jumping up and down, the excitement, the joy. You didn't see that for all those years. It's also
You're
exciting
talking
to see
Granado?
Samuelson when he scored,
Oh,
jumping up and
Samuelson when he
down.
scored. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, the whole bench up and down, everyone on the ice like hugging and stuff. You didn't
Yeah.
see that for the longest time, and it's also cool to see like when you see these huddles when they score. It's like, yeah, JJ Paterka, he's 20, Jack Quinn 21, Dylan Cousins 21. Matthias Samuelson, I think, is 22. Rasmus Medellin, 22. Like, all 5 of the players on the ice are 22 and under. And you're like, and they're all pretty much going to be signed for the long term, pretty much eventually, you would expect. So it's just exciting. Again, it's another thing that's makes this team so fun to watch. Is they seem like such a tight knit team, and they really
Yeah.
care for each other's achievements.
The camaraderie is there, which, like you said, has not been the case in a lot of recent
The
years.
Jack Eichel era, yeah.
Yeah, the cancer in the locker room. The dude spread like malignant melanoma through everyone. It was just like I couldn't even. I don't know. You could see it too. Like it was just the way they played. Eichel did everything right. It was
Eichel. It was Eichel was the
Eichel's
team.
show. It was him, and with hockey's not an individual sport. No offense, unless it's a shootout, and it was not. It was not always a shootout. So it's just like it. The team is glued together now. Granado's in the center of it. Adams drafted this team perfectly. You have older, more experienced people like Tuck in the mix too. I mean, he's not even older though in the whole
He's like
aspect.
26.
He's 26. Like, come on, like that's not even. He's still in his 20s. Like,
I just think there's so much to look forward to. The concern right now is that they're a little bit top heavy. The top 6 is producing so much of their offense, and the bottom 6 has been kind of meh to an extent. I mean, I think,
yeah.
and we'll talk about the lines right now, I guess, but
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the Oposo Gergenson's Yost line as like your 4th line. Like they were a really good line.
They are.
And then the pair of your top 6, I was like, okay, that's 3 lines you can roll out, and you're just going to deal with that trash 3rd line. And now that they're screwing things up again by now putting Krebs with Oposo and Gergensons, which could be a fine line. It's going to be very low event. And I don't think that's really suits Krebs' style. I mean, he's been able to adjust a little bit this season. I don't think he's been terrible when he's been with those guys, but it's like that's not really great for his development.
Right.
And then Yost, who is very effective for the first 2 weeks, is now centering your 2 worst players on the team.
You're going to see him crumble, his development crash all of a sudden.
You're going to see his numbers go just way down.
Yeah.
And it comes down to the fact of I originally had the thought process that they should break up the first line to help the 3rd line.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thought process should be is that one of those 2 guys just can't be on in the lineup. I mean, you got to pick one that can't be in the lineup because if you break them up, you're just screwing 2 lines now. I mean, if one line's going to get screwed, then fine, but it can't be like mega screwed, which you're having with the 2 on the team. In my opinion, is this: Asplund and Olsen worked very well together when they were playing together early at the beginning of the year. Why don't you put Krebs in the center of them and have that be your 3rd line, maybe a little bit high event?
Yeah, and put Yost as the center of the 4th line again.
With that line that was doing so well, and just, I mean, healthy scratcher, just get rid of Middlestat. Like, it is not that hard to find a solution where then you have at least 3 good lines and a 4th line that is now, instead of being bad, at least could be competent. Has an opportunity to be competent. Don Granato's not giving them an opportunity. He keeps rotating a 3rd dude in there. Like he's going to be the savior. Payne Krebs ain't going to be the savior. My boy Asplund can't be the savior. Yost will not be the savior. I mean, I don't know who else they're going to try, but those guys, I mean, that line, those 2 players are just, no. I mean, you can't. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah, but Casey Middlestat should, his nickname, whatever, it's just black hole. I don't want to hear it. Like, the dude just sucks development out of everyone and just tanks them. Like, Yost is going to just disappear, right? His numbers are going to go. That whole 3rd line before, I was sitting at the Sharks game with Morgan, my girlfriend, and I was explaining to her every time Middlestat was on the ice, I'm like, watch this guy. He is not good. Every pass he attempted, right, whiffed right past who it was going to. Dude couldn't pass. He lost the puck like 8 times. Oh my God, Dom, I wanted to rip my eyes out. I couldn't even, I'm going to stop myself because I'm about to go on a Middlestat tangent here. My face is literally turning red. but I just he should be healthy scratch or trade him. Like put him with someone who has some decent trade value and get something out of it. Go for Chicherin, whatever his name was that we were talking about a couple weeks ago. Chicherin, yeah. Like come on, like I don't.
They gotta find a way to package him
to make him look good.
He has some value. I mean, he's a half point a game player. Like someone with youngish, has some upside, has a decent. He's gonna be an RFA, I believe, or he has 1 year left at like under $3 million, so his contract's pretty okay. So
yeah, we just gotta put a Band-Aid over the stab wound to make him look more appealing for people.
He has some value, so it's not like they couldn't trade him and get like a 7th-round pick. They could get something, and maybe not a lot of quality. So maybe you have to package some more quality stuff to get a good player, but he could definitely be a part of a package, in my opinion. So.
Yeah,
I think that's the frustration with the Lions right now. I don't mind any really the defensive pairings, other than I would preferably they stop playing Casey Fitzgerald over Lawrence Pilot because Fitzgerald's really bad. But it just comes down to the fact of they're really playing those top 2 pairs a lot, and the third pair is really not getting that much ice time. So
yeah,
we'll see with that. And then I gave you a week to think of good nicknames for the line. They're calling it the kid line now. Do we like that?
No.
I mean, I don't really have anything that great either, to be honest.
I got one, but it's a complete pirate from something else.
Other than like Willie Mays was to say "Hey kid," so you could do the "Say Hey kids" line, but that's the kid line. You could do something with their very high event, like they give up some chances defensively, but they produce so much offense. So it's like it's one of those lines where like when they're on the ice, you can't leave your seat because you're going to see something. Either they're going to give up a chance defensively or they're going to score a goal, and then you're going to be out of you're going to be out of your seat then, but you can't leave the seat. So I don't know. It's like the thriller line. Like, I mean, it's just when they're on the ice, you get this thrill that something, that itch that something's about to happen.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, a good, just gave me an idea. The pee your pants line. Just forget the bathroom. Just, you gotta stay out there. Forget the bathroom. Come on. It's like watching, it's like watching Avengers Endgame, man. You didn't get up and get out of the theater for that. You sat there chugging your Snapple. You knew it was going to happen, but you just had the bottle with you just in case. But it's the pee your pants line. No, I would honestly, the kid line is just meh, like mid. I don't know.
It's generic.
Yeah. Like I would honestly, I'd rather you call them the New Kids on the Block, just completely rip off a band name, like that's what I would call them. That would be my name personally. I just think that's better.
New Kids on the Block. I was thinking of that. I couldn't remember the band name, but I knew Mark Ruffalo's brother was in the band.
Yeah. Yeah. You mean Mark Wahlberg?
Who did I say?
Ruffalo.
You got Incredible Hulk. You got Marvel in my head.
Yeah. No, I got Marvel on your mind. Yeah. No, Mark Wahlberg's brother's in the band. Yeah. Yeah, New Kids on the Block. That's what I would call them because they're making their name known, or the Pee Your Pants line. Those are my 2 names.
Say Hey Kids. I think about this kid is too generic. Say Hey Kids. Say I'm gonna say Pee Your Pants because that's but New Kids on the Block. Think about
the Lost Boys.
The Lost Boys, dude. I like the Lost Boys. The Goonies.
You said Peter Pan, and that popped in my mind. Yeah,
Goonies line.
Yeah, the Lost Boys. Yeah.
I like the Lost Boys, especially because.
Because they never grow up, man. And your last name's Lost. Yeah.
I like the Lost Boys. We're going to roll with that.
All right.
Lost Boys.
The Lost Boys line. Look at that. The Lost Boys line. Look at that. Okay. All
right.
So we're going to patent that. We're going to put a trademark on it. No one can say it without giving us 25 cents. All right. Go ahead, buddy. What were you going to say?
We can try to attempt that. So let's make some predictions now. It's prediction time. Let's look at our predictions from last week. I think both of us said they were going to go 2-1. So solid there.
Yeah.
You predicted Skinner leads the team in goals, Tage in points. I predicted Quinn in power. Quinn did have a 2-goal game, and Skinner had some goals, so it wasn't that bad. But Cousins led the team with 3 goals. It's actually kind of a really good mix of scorers, to be honest with you. There was a lot of people that got on the
everyone's getting the piece of the pie, man.
A lot of people had 2 goals, so Cousins with 3 was the top, and Cousins had 8 points in the 3 games. He actually had that week, he had 9 points in 4 games, which earned him the 2nd star of the week in the National Hockey League behind Connor McDavid. So congrats to the workhorse from Whitehorse.
Yeah. I mean, I love to see it. I love to see it. I like we said, everyone's getting a piece of the pie. That's what we were seeing in the beginning of the season. Then they went on that losing streak, and now everyone's getting a piece of the pie again. You got to keep it up. I'm loving it so far. I'm excited. we're going to the game on Friday against the Penguins. Another good game.
Yeah, so their upcoming schedule is they play tomorrow in Columbus, which is I think I'm not gonna say must win, but then they need to
it'd be
get
nice.
that's an not easy, but that's a gettable 2 points. And then they have a home and home against Pittsburgh Friday at home, Saturday in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's they're currently the last playoff spot. They're 6 points behind Pittsburgh, so it's an opportunity really for them to maybe put some pressure on Pittsburgh and get there. So I think let me double check. I need to make sure to only 3 games because Tuesday is the Kings game at home, so we'll talk about that one. So only 3-game week. Joe, what is the Sabres record in those 3 games?
I'm gonna go 3-0. I think they run the table. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'd love to see them run the table. I think they can. It's not out of the question here, at all. At all. It's not out of the question. What do you think?
I think they're going to go 2-1.
2-1.
I think they're going to lose.
2-1.
I predict they're going to lose in Columbus, but then they're going to swoop the home and home against Pittsburgh.
All right, it's not a bad take. I would like to see him beat the Blue Jackets, so I'm holding out hope. I'm gonna go 3-0.
So who do you think is the leading goal scorer this week, and who do you think has the most points this week?
I think I was gonna say Middlestad as a joke, but I'm not even gonna go there. I just hate that guy. I'm gonna go honestly. I think Jack Quinn is gonna lead in goals. He's on fire,
and
I think we're gonna see. In points total, I want to say we're gonna see Tage. I don't know. I think he's gonna have some good assists and a couple goals too. So I think Tage.
I will predict the leading goal scorer will be Alex Tuck.
Oh, he's been waiting for a breakout. I think
the points will be Rasmus Dahlin.
Not bad at all.
So we shall see.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely interesting. I love that they play Pittsburgh twice. That'll be cool to watch. We'll be in person on one, and we'll be watching on MSG or wherever it is on the next one. And hoping 3-0, but Dom, if 2-1, good on you for picking that. So we'll see how that goes next week. But let's move into Would You Rather. Dom, take it away, buddy. You got it this week. What do you got for me?
The Heisman finalists were announced, and there was some controversy over Stetson Bennett, the quarterback from Georgia, being a finalist. I, like many others, believe he only got it because his team's number one team in the country. He has a lot of talent around him.
Mm-hmm.
He's really not the best. He shouldn't be considered, I believe, four quarterbacks. So he's not a top 4 quarterback in the country,
No.
And it's because of his, the helmet on the decor on his helmet, and the players around him. So I think I don't think he belongs to be in the discussion. He's also 25, so get a life.
Yeah.
So
hey, wait, little off topic for a second here. Speaking of decor on helmets, the Bears are getting a sticker on their helmet that says "If lost, please return to Aaron Rodgers" because he owns them. So I wanted to throw that joke in there.
I thought you were talking about your buddy Aaron Judge potentially still being a Yankee.
No.
You want to jinx it?
No, not saying a word on
I'll
that.
jinx it because I'm a Red Sox fan.
Yeah,
Aaron Judge potentially still be a Yankee, unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately.
So I want to give you a would you rather.
Okay.
Would you rather be Stetson Bennett, a Heisman finalist, play for the number one team in the country, but deep down everyone trashes you because you got there because, let's be honest, of the people around you and the program you're at? Or would you rather be like a guy like Max Duggan, TCU, a little bit of a smaller school, Big 12, elevate the people around you, get to the Heisman, get to the college football playoff, and become a Heisman finalist? So who would you rather be?
I like Max Duggan. I would rather be him. I think people see that the fraudulence, they smell it in the air. When the program around you elevates you to that level, and I feel like it's kind of a cop out to have him as a Heisman nominee, but I love the fact that he elevated the people around him, and I'd rather be him in that situation. I'd rather elevate the people around me and be a better team because of me,
Yeah, I think selfishly I want it because of me. I want it because of my excellence, not because my team around me, I don't want to say carry because he's a good player, but
but you don't want the whispers behind you saying
we're not going to pretend that if Stetson Bennett and Max Duggan traded places that
it's the same.
They would both be Heisman finalists. No, I don't think Stetson Bennett would be. So I think that's the thing for me. So no, I think it's pretty easy the choice to, I want to fight for my spot, my proper right. I don't want to be handed to me like Stetson Bennett. Now,
Right.
I will say Stetson Bennett walk on like congrats to be on the field, but you're at the University of Georgia. Like, I don't know what you want me to say.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I'm with you though. I'd rather be him and not have everyone else around me be him, and I'm just meh, So I'd rather it be that way. But that was a good would you rather, buddy. I like that. I like that a lot. Brought the Heisman into it. I like it.
Hey, it was relevant.
Relevant to the time.
I'm not going to go do the Heisman pose now. That's
Yeah.
a bad idea for my legs.
Yeah. But without further ado, we're gonna kick it off into trivia. I'm actually gonna be asking the questions. Normally, I fumble the bag on answering questions, but Dom, we're gonna start off with the Bills question as per usual. Don't know. I haven't been keeping track. It's been almost a year now. With Mike asking questions, so these could be repeats, but just let me know. First Bills question. Which former Buffalo running back was also a member of a world record sprint relay team while going to the University of Southern California? Your options for answers include...
Oh, wait. O.J. Simpson.
You got it. I was going to give you the options first to try and throw
you
you
didn't
off
have to give me that. I was confused at first. I honestly thought you were going to say, like, Marquise Goodwin.
Oh,
he
yeah.
He was at Texas as a long jumper or maybe a sprinter.
I believe he was,
But like I was like, he's not a running back. And once you said Southern California, I was like,
OJ.
I know a certain Bills running back that went to the USC.
Yeah, who cares about if gloves fit or not? Yeah. No, that guy.
Okay, it's cold. He's got to make sure.
Yep, exactly. So Sabres question. You're probably gonna get this in a heartbeat.
Oh my God.
That book of
that was
Sabres.
A good question, Joe. I'm gonna be honest.
Was it? Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. Which Buffalo Sabres general manager once drafted a player that did not exist?
Oh my God, I don't know this one.
No,
I know it's. Listen. I know it's Sosimoto, and I know it was in I think it was the 1970s. Was it not?
I believe so. Let me get more information on this. Let's see.
I don't want to look anything up because I don't want to get spoiled the answer, but I honestly do not know who the GMs of the Sabres were before, like Darcy Ugier in the 90s. So,
it was. Oh, I know who it is.
What year was it?
1974.
Yeah, I thought it was 74. I was gonna say 74. I want to say, Floyd Smith was the head coach in the first season. I'm gonna go Scott Bowman.
You're close. It's Punch Imlek, or however you say his name.
No, oh my God, I did.
He selected star center Taro Tsujimoto of the Japan Ice Hockey League's Tokyo Katanas in the 11th round of the NHL draft. In the NHL draft, the NHL made the draft pick official, and it was reported by media outlets that he did not exist. So, what a Sabres move that was. You were close though. Scotty Bowman was on the possible answers list, so I should have given you the possible.
That's all good.
That one, but
I remembered someone named Punch, but I can't remember his last name.
All right, you want the final question here?
I mean, I can't really say no, so.
All right. It's a Bandits question since they started their season
0-1.
0-1. Tough game. They were in it, out of it, in it, out of it, in it, out of it, officially out of it.
Rendell might be coming back.
Might be coming back. Might be making a return, hopefully, because we get some more content. But question 3. During the 1990s, when did Buffalo Bandits win the National Lacrosse League championships? When were those banners hung?
They won in 08. They won in 97. They won 93, 94.
They won. Let's see. I'm looking at league titles here. Okay. 1992, 1993, 96, and 08.
So I got 2.
Yes, you got 2 of them.
So it was 92, 93, 96. 08.
And then 08, you actually got a bonus because that wasn't even in the question. It was only during the 90s. So
no, I was close. I mean, I was a year off. I had 1 year too early on the back to back. I knew they had another one like a couple years afterwards. So then I was suddenly just a year ahead of my theory. If I backed up everything a year, I would have got all 3. Oh
yeah, no, you would have. But no, it was a valiant effort. Good job.
Thank you. I try.
But without further ado, that's going to end it for this episode of the Buffalonian Podcast. I'm Joe Callie, and I was joined by Dom, Loss, and Dom. How do you always end these, buddy?
Go Bills, baby.
Go Bills.